11 years of marriage over. I think I need some advice or possibly after reassurance here. Sorry my story is long, but I promise this is the short version. I met my husband at 18 years old. About 1 year and I started experiencing pain symptoms. It wasn't bad at first, but gradually became worse, and 7 years into our relationship it was impacting my daily life, but I was still working full-time and contributing probably the most with house chores. We got married 6 years into our relationship, and my communication regarding health status was always shared openly. At the age of 26, I required a full hysterectomy, was in hospital at least 1 to 2 times a year for 6 years. My mobility was restricted a lot, and with my nerve pain I struggled immensely at nighttime for 3 years, and for 1.5 years cried and wailed many nights away. It was rough. Despite it being a struggle, I did all the animals and cleaning chores, including laundry plus the weeding, handled the bills and groceries. I walked our dog for 45 minutes after work, rinsed my work dishes, feed animals, showered, and that was usually the best I could manage. I asked him if he wouldn't mind doing dinners and the lawns because that's where I really struggle. Yet he constantly told me I wasn't doing enough. On top of this, I run a construction company with my dad, so whilst hours could be flexible, I still had no choice but to work at 40-hour week. My husband also worked full-time. 5 years ago, he pushed me over in an argument. He gaslighted the whole situation. 3 years ago was when things got worse. Over the next 2.5 years, he slapped me hard twice, pushed me over countless times, overpowered and manhandled me often, usually leaving bruises, smashed my phone, dragged me by my arms over carpet. I had carpet burns on ankles. He was controlling, isolated me from all my friends and family, was emotionally and verbally abusive, constantly mimicking me when I cried, or just as often would pour a bucket or water bottle of water over me to shock me out of it, refused to go out in public or make fun plans, and constantly belittled me or gaslight or would make threats. If I went out with friends, girls, he would always accuse me of cheating on him. I didn't. When my doctors were trying to get my medication dosage right for my pain, at one point I would forcibly fall asleep and wouldn't wake easily. During this time I woke to him penetrating me and sometimes would fall back asleep from the meds. My psychologist since told me that's sexually assault. 2 years ago a nurse picked up on a few things and spoke to me about domestic violence. It may sound silly, but I had never thought of myself as a domestic violence victim. I knew it was abuse, but my brain at the time didn't make the connection. After this, I promised myself that if he ever physically hurt me again, that I would call the police. One night, I had to follow through with that promise. I called 000 at 10 p.m.-ish, but they didn't have anyone available until 1 a.m. When they called back, I told them not to worry as he was then asleep, so they followed up at 9 a.m. the next day. On top of the verbal abuse I received that night, I had a lump and bruise on my arm from him slamming a door on it. He had pushed me, overpowered and manhandled my arm and body. And we didn't know it at the time, but a medical device I had implanted was also broken. The policeman said to me, "So he didn't actually hit you." And with that, they were happy to leave. Over the last 2 years, we had been broken up more than we were together. I tried confronting him about the abuse. I told his mom and sisters what was happening and that I needed help. They didn't. We tried couples therapy. It just made him madder. I tried asking for weekends away or to do an activity and was often restricted from driving, so we usually went nowhere. He wasn't a fan of people. He would complain whilst walking the dog about me, stopping to say hello to other locals who had 2SD initiated the conversation. It frustrated him so much that he stopped coming on walks. But that was of no use to me, except if I took too long by his watch, he would always call. I had 2 major spinal surgeries in this time where I couldn't drive, bend, reaching, or stretching for 3 months both times. He was done being a carer, so refused to help, so I had to get friends and family to cook, vacuum, and do our laundry. After 1 month of him barely walking or exercising our dog, I couldn't take it anymore and against doctor's orders started walking the dog and vacuuming. All this time I still wasn't doing enough. 5 months ago I moved out and ended things for good. I keep questioning if I have made the right decision. I mean, logically I know I have, but 11 years with someone is so hard to give up. Anyone have any tips for getting through this alone? I now live alone with my dog and 2 cats, and both my health and life has improved so much since. Also, how do I stop my brain thinking, maybe we could try again, because I feel like I have tried everything I could.